Hello everybody and welcome back, and in this tutorial we are going to see how we can code a part of our server and reverse shell in order to be able to download any file that is stored on the target system or upload any file that we want from our Kali Linux machine. So we will need to specify a few different things in order to be able to download any type of file, such as exe files, pictures, mp3 files, VBS files, and so on and so on. So let us see how we can do that. We will start off with our server code. So nanoserver.py. For now on, all actual options we have is the queue option, the change directory option, and the actual executing of command option. So what we want to do is add the upload and download option, and we can do that the similar way as we added the cd option. So what we will do is we will code another else if statement. So else if, we will add the command. And first of all, let us add the download command. So let's actually think how we can specify this. Well, we can actually specify the same as cd. So first first 8 letters, since that is how many letters download word has. If the first 8 letters are equal to download, then we will see what we will do. So first of all, let's see how our command will look like. I will just write it right here. So for example, let's say there is a test.txt file on the target desktop. So let us create it. We can just use notepad. Hello world, exclamation mark. I will just save a file on the actual desktop. So we will call it test.txt. I save it, I close this, and we can see our testing file is right here. So we will try to download this file from target PC. So what we need to do, first of all, the command will look something like this. So download test.txt. We checked if the first 8 letters equal to download. If they do, then what we will do is, first of all, we will open a file on our Kali Linux machine with the same name as the file on target machine, and we can specify the same name to be as from the command variable and from the 9th element to the end, which will basically stand for, it will cut out the first 8 elements, which will be the download word, then it will cut out the empty space, and it will basically name the file what is the remaining, which will be test.txt or any other file name that you try to actually specify. So that this is the name of the file. The second argument of opening files is how we want to open them. So we want to actually write to a file on our Kali Linux machine, and we want to write bytes. You specify that with W and B. Basically, W stands for write and B stands for bytes, and we close the brackets. So these are the two actual inputs that the file creation in Python takes. Now we need to specify as which file descriptor we want to open it, so we can just call it as file. So simply just call it file, it doesn't even matter. And then once we do that, once we actually open the file, we want to receive the data from the test.txt file on target PC. So we will just make a variable called result, even though we already have it right here, but this is the part of code that will not be run once we actually run this command. So we need to specify another variable right here. We'll call it the same result, and it will be just result underscore receive. Or if you want to, if you're actually getting confused by two same named variables, we can just type here file result or file data. Let's call it like that. File data equals result underscore receive. And then what we want to do is write to this file that we opened right here, which is saved on our Kali Linux machine. So file.write. And in file.write, we need to actually write this data that we received. But in any case, in the case of this file actually being a text file, we can just simply specify here file data. But for example, if we try to download a picture, we would need to first of all base64 encode the picture before sending it from the reverse shell, and in our server code, we need to perform the base64 decoding of that picture. Now, we will use the base64 library in order to be able to download and upload any file we want. So we'll just import base64 so our program doesn't crash. And in order to write right here, we will need to perform a decode function, since in the reverse shell later on we will perform an encode function. So right here, instead of file data, between the brackets, you need to specify base64.b64 decode, and in the actual brackets, open and close another brackets, and specify what you want to actually write. And we want to write file underscore data. So this is basically everything we need to specify for the actual download function right here. As we can see, we open the file to write bytes, we receive the data in this variable file data, and we wrote the decoded file data, which we will encode later on in the actual reverse shell. So that will be actually about it for the download function. Let us code right now the upload function for our server. So we will start off the same. Let me just delete this download test.txt, since I will forget to delete it later. And right now what our command will look like is upload test.txt. Just right now this test.txt will actually be on our Kali Linux machine, and we will upload it to the Windows 10 machine. So else if, oops, not here, we want to code down here. Else if command, and we count how many letters upload has. It has 6 letters. So first 6 letters of the command are equal to upload. What we want to do is basically, first of all, open a file. So open a file that is already on our Kali Linux machine. So right now, instead of actually opening a file in the download function, we need to open it in as reading. So we want to read from that file. So with open, and then a command. We want to name it the same as from the actual command itself. So from the 7th character till the end, which will just leave the test.txt as a name, which is right now important since it will not open a file if we don't specify the correct name. So then make a comma, and how we want to open it? We want to open it to read, and we want to read bytes. So RB between double quotes, close the brackets, and we can call this one fin. It doesn't even matter, you can call it anything you want, as long as you make sure that later on you specify the write and read function the same name. So we open the file, and what we want to do right now is actually send the contents of this file. So we will reliable underscore send. And now, since we are the ones sending the data, we need to encode it before sending it. So we will use base64.b64 and now encode, and not make sure to make a difference between the decode and encode. Don't type both of them the same. And right here, once you encode it, we want to send the actual fin.read. Open and close bracket, since this is a function, and close another bracket from the actual reliable send function. So we successfully send the file, but make sure to add a try and except rule right here, since we don't want our program to crash if we, for example, specify the name of the file that we want to upload to target PC, the wrong name. We want to run this in a try and except, so try, then tab these two, we will try this, and then we will accept. If any error occurs, we will just basically send to the target a failed variable, which will contain a string which will say failed to upload, which we can then check. If we cat the target, the actual target file, we will see that it says failed to upload, and we will know that something is wrong with the actual upload function, or that we specify the name incorrectly. And all we want to do is reliable send the actual failed string. So we can use base64 once again, since we need to encode it. Base64 encode failed. So this is the entire download and upload function in the actual server. Now what we want to do is basically just code the same thing in the reverse shell. So in order to not type this twice, I will just copy this. I will close the actual program, save everything, save it under that name. Let me just check if I saved everything correctly. Okay, I did. Then I go to my reverse shell, and right here, under the actual change.go directory, I can specify what I copied from the server code. But of course, we need to change a few things right here. We cannot leave it just like this. since the download and upload function will not be the same in our server code, or pardon me, in our actual reverse shell code. So let me just check here. If we get the command to be download, that means that our reverse shell is receiving, or basically it is sending the file. So we first of all need to change this write bytes to read bytes in download in the reverse shell. We can leave it to be named the same. And we are not actually receiving the data, we are sending the data. So let us delete this. Let me just go right here. And what we want to actually do is basically reliable send, or we cannot leave it like this. This is writing to a file, so let us do it like this. Reliable send, open and close brackets to our function, and send base64.b64 encode. Oops. Since in our server we decoded the download function, right now we need to encode it in order to send it. We open the brackets and we are sending the file.read. Open and close another brackets and close two other brackets. Since make sure to have 3 brackets open and 3 brackets closed, so you don't run into an error. And all we are left to do before testing our program is to fix the upload function as well. So in the upload function, first of all, we need to fix the actual RB to be write bytes, since in our target PC we are now writing the file that we are receiving, and all we have to do is just receive the actual file. So we need to delete this first of all. We don't need the try and except rule right here, there is no point. So let us delete all of this and then we will write what we need. Oops, also delete the try. And let us see what we need to do in order to make the upload complete on our reverse shell. So what we will do is file data will be equal to reliable underscore receive. So what we are doing is we are receiving the file data and we want to write, so fin.write the base64.b64 decode, and what we are writing is the file underscore data. So if I'm not mistaken, everything right here should be good to go. And right now, if we save this and compile the actual program, let me just find the command from the previous video, so I don't type it once again, just actually compile it with the same command as usual. Press enter. We let this compile, takes a few seconds, and right now let us see if we are going to be able to download this test.txt file, as well as upload some file that I will create right now in our Linux environment. So let us just wait for this to compile. We can right now import the USB drive, go to my disk directory where my actual reverse shell.txt is, and move it to my media root and Kali live, which is my USB drive. So we wait for a few seconds. Okay, so it has finished. I unplug the USB drive. Let's paste the actual reverse shell to the desktop. Now make sure once you're actually downloading and uploading the files, you can only specify only the name of the file once you're in the same directory as that file. For example, if this reverse shell was one directory back and not on the desktop, you will need to specify the full path to this test.txt file in order to be able to download it from a different directory. So, before we actually run our program, let me go one directory back, delete the dist, delete the build, delete the reverse.spec. And before I run my server, let me create right here in this directory a file which we will call hello.txt. And we will type here hello there. We will save it, so we can have it right here, and then we will try to actually upload it to the target PC. So let us run the server, upload test.txt. Okay, so in my server code, what I forgot is to remove this line. And there is also another thing that I think I forgot, which is unfortunate, but we will have to actually fix it. Yeah, I didn't import the base64 library right here, so make sure to import it. importing reverse shell.py, and right now I will compile it once again because our program will not work. The one that we actually pasted on our desktop, I will just delete it. It will not work because we didn't compile it with the base64 library. So I will compile it once again. Just give me a second. I will plug in my USB drive real quick in order to transport this reverse shell.exe to the target. Okay. Change to dist, move reverse shell to the media root Kali live. Sorry for this, forgot to add the base64. Make sure you add it as well, otherwise your program will not work without that library. And we are good to go right now. So let's run our server. Okay, so we have an actual error. Let me just find it where it is. Except, why is there an error right here? Not really sure. Oops. What am I doing? Okay. It could be because we are missing something somewhere. For example, right here, we are missing another bracket in our server code. So make sure to add a third bracket right here. And right now, if we run this, everything works well for now. So let me unplug my USB drive from the Kali Linux machine. Then paste the reverse shell to my desktop once again. And I can run it right now. So hopefully if everything worked well and we coded everything well, our reverse shell should connect back to the Kali Linux as it did. So let us check some usual commands such as who am I and basically dir for actually listing all the files on the actual desktop environment. And right now, let's first of all try to download this file to our Kali Linux machine. We, for example, saw an interesting file which is test.txt. So let us type download space test.txt. We press enter. Result underscore receive is not defined. Oops, so we named something not really correct. So let me just try it once again. Let me just remove all the unnecessary directories so we don't actually confuse ourselves with them. So somewhere I specified result.receive instead of reliable.receive or underscore receive. Let me just find it where it is. Okay, so here is the error. It's not result underscore receive, it is reliable underscore receive. Let me just clear the screen, run it once again, run my reverse shell once again. It connected back, there, works. And let's download test.txt. Okay, so it seems like we didn't get any error. If we run another command, we can see we can execute further commands. So we hope that we actually downloaded the file successfully, which we will change as soon as we terminate the connection. But before we terminate the connection, let's try to actually upload to the desktop the hello.txt from our Kali Linux machine. We can see right here there is nowhere hello.txt file. So if we go right here, type upload hello.txt, we press enter, everything seems well. If we go right here, there is now hello.txt file, we open it, and it should say hello there, as it really does say. So our upload function works. Now let's terminate the connection with Q and type ls. And we can see our download function works as well, since we have the test.txt file right here. If we cat the test.txt, we can see it says hello world exclamation mark, which indeed it does if we open it right here. So our upload and download function work really well. We managed to code them, and in the next video we will code some different functions useful for our reverse shell. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye!